I want to share a story with you guys about what to do when your cold approach does go badly, right? Because if you are a man dealing with approach anxiety, one of the main fears that you probably have is probably not so much rejection, like being rejected by her personally, but what might actually happen, like if she has friends nearby, or family members, or like a boyfriend or somebody who could be a boyfriend even, like your mind will fill, your mind will fill with all these kind of imaginary scenarios of awful things happening where your moral integrity is basically called into question publicly, right? And you're shamed or humiliated publicly by, her friends or her family members or people in this vicinity, like supermarket staff or gym staff or whatever it is. They laugh at you or they shame you or they tell you that you're being a creep for approaching, whatever it is. That's one of the main fears that men with approach anxiety have. And so I want to share a little story with you about what to do if that actually does happen, right? And there's a twist to this story, so watch to the end of the video. Because if any of you have been watching my videos, I'm about day 14, 2 weeks now into actually tackling head on my approach anxiety by actually approaching attractive girls that I'm attracted to, women that I'm attracted to out in the wild, out in public, just when I see them, noticing the moment, like noticing a pretty girl. The opportunity is never perfect, really, ever. I mean, sometimes some opportunities are better than others, but most opportunities are far from perfect. It requires social courage to do this, okay? And going up to her, approaching her, getting her attention, and speaking my truth, right? Why I'm approaching her, naming the context, expressing that I noticed that she was beautiful and whatever. Okay, so I'm about day 14 into doing this, and I've approached and or complimented nearly 50 girls over the last 2 weeks. So because I'm tracking it, because I want to keep a progress record and track my results. And I am someone, just for your context, I'm someone who has had crippling approach anxiety for years, right? I'm 33 now, and I realized recently, I'm not getting any younger, okay? And so if I want to experience the abundance and success and fun in my dating life that I've always wanted to, well, now's a better time than ever. I could regret all the years that I wasted, succumbing to approach anxiety, but now's no time like the present, right? And so I've been doing it. And today, I'd already warmed up. I'd already had 2 successful approaches under my belt. I got a girl's number just randomly in a cafe, when I was getting my morning coffee, and I'm going to take her out for a date tomorrow. And the second one was just really off the cuff. I won't tell the details of that story, but both of those approaches were really successful, right? As most of them always are, actually. And, the approach anxiety fears never happen. Except then, I was walking back to my car outside a supermarket, and I just sort of turned and I saw an attractive young blonde woman, right, walking sort of in my direction. And again, I noticed the moment, the moment in inverted quotation marks. There's never a perfect moment. This is in broad daylight in a supermarket car park, right? But I noticed the moment, and what the moment is, I noticed that, she was hot. She was pretty. I was attracted to her, right? She was about, 20, 30 meters away. And because I recognized the moment and I was like, well, this is the opportunity. There's never a perfect opportunity. So I was actually kind of in the route where she was going to be walking anyway. And so I just sort of stood there for an extra few seconds and waited for her to approach. And when she was about 10 meters away, I called out, "Excuse me." And she looked up and I said, basically what I always say. I was like, "Hey, I know this is super random, but I just saw you walking there, and I was actually quite nervous for this particular one. I don't really know why. I mean, she was she was really hot. That's why I was nervous, right? And I said, so I said another disclaimer. I was like, I know this is super random, but I just saw you walking there, and this kind of feels weird for me to even say this, but yeah, I thought you were really cute, and I knew I'd regret it if I didn't say something to you, right? And it was interesting. So like now that I was actually in the interaction with a girl and I was actually talking to her, I realized that she was, I don't know, like 21 or something like that. And for me, being 33, I've got loads of insecurities that I'm too old to date attractive young women. Okay. And I don't know. I mean, say what you like. I mean, I've got all those insecurities myself. So, you know, feel free to roast me in the comments about that. Call me whatever names you like. It's fine. I've got loads of insecurities about that, you know, that I'm too old to date, you know, attractive young women, you know, that like the cutoff age is, I don't know, whatever it is, 25 or 24 or something like that for me. Anyway, I don't know how old she was, but what actually happened when I approached her and said that to her was she was, you know, she said thank you, but then she actually said that, what did she say? She was like, I'm not feeling my best today. I'm having like my worst day or something like that. And I didn't really know what she meant. And so I was like, oh, what do you mean? And she goes, oh, I'm just having my worst day. And she kind of sort of like started to walk away. But I sensed from her like body language and like the way that she was, like her non-verbal communication, that she wasn't actually rejecting me, but she actually just wasn't feeling pretty for whatever reason that day. And maybe she didn't actually want to be seen by somebody who found her attractive. And so I kept engaging her and I was like, and I said, oh, no, it's totally cool. Like, you know, you don't have to, like, whatever's going on, you don't have to feel embarrassed. Like, I genuinely think you look really cute, right? And then, you know, she stopped and we were leaning against my car and I kept sort of talking to her and then eventually, I mean, it only took like a few seconds and she actually sort of like relaxed and I learned that she was just like really hungover, and that explained it. She was just really hungover, and so, you know, I grounded the situation. I started to speak slower and just like more confidently, because this is what happens when you actually start approaching girls. You realize that they're just people, right? And so now, you know, I'm just talking to a person, right? An attractive person to me, but like just a person, right? And that's what happens when you actually start approaching girls, is your approach anxiety just disappears completely, because like the moment that you're actually talking to them, because it's just a person, just like all the other normal people that you've spoken to in your life. But anyway, so we had this little flirt, and I won't go into like the details of like, you know, what was said in the interaction, because I can't be bothered like repeating every single detail, but she started to display signs of being like clearly interested in me, like quite interested in me, you know, because I mean, it's an attractive thing to, it is I think a lot of guys don't realize this. They think it's creepy. Men that have approach anxiety think it's creepy to approach girls that they're attracted to and express their attraction, but it's actually not creepy. It's actually really sexy. Like a lot of like most women that I've approached over the last few weeks have found it really attractive, not creepy. I haven't had a single response where they've been creeped out. Not even at all. Like that's not even a thing at all. But what happened next was, so she was quite interested in me, okay? And like she'd already agreed enthusiastically to giving me her number. And I pulled out my phone. She didn't have her phone on her, so I pulled out my phone and I won't use her real name to protect her identity, but let's call her Vanessa. And I just like opened a new contact and saved it as Vanessa hungover as fuck, just to like roast her a little bit, you know? And at that, like before I could actually put her number in, then she's like, oh, that's my sister and her boyfriend walking around the corner. And so I turned and I saw this other girl and another guy walking towards me. And I was like, and I was like, hey, how's it going? I'm just hitting on your sister, right? It's a really bold move to say that, like if family members sort of appear in interaction, just include them, because like you don't want to be fucking shady about it. Like if you're hitting on their family member, just be honest about it, right? Because you are, Okay. And so the honesty, like if this is the thing with approaching, like if you stop hiding your intentions, it's not creepy, right? Just as a wee side note, I did this yesterday. Different interaction where I approached and was flirting with this attractive girl on the street who we'll just call Jane, for example, and her mum came over and she'd told me earlier in the interaction that her mum was with her, and I was like, oh, you must be Jane's mum. She was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, can I hit on your daughter, and because I was honest about my intentions, she thought it was funny, and so then she just sort of like asked me how I was, and I told her, and we had just like a little, I don't know, 1 minute chat about it, and then she was like, okay, sweet as, we'll have fun hitting on my daughter, walked away, right? And so I went back to flirting with the daughter. But anyway, today, when, what was her name? Yeah, Vanessa, that's right. Vanessa's sister and her boyfriend came over. I was like, hey, I'm just hitting on your sister. And she was like, oh, okay, whatever. And then, yeah, she walked over, and then I turned back to Vanessa. I was like, yeah, sweet. So just chuck your number in there, and I'll catch you, when I'm back in your town. And then her sister was like, oh, wait, are you being serious? How? And then she turned to me and looked me up and down and was like, how old are you? Like full fucking scrutinizing me. She just said it straight. She was like, you're so old, and she looked at me as though I was like creeping on her little sister, right? Bearing in mind, the girl that I was flirting with is like a fully grown woman. She's younger than me, right? By quite a huge margin, admittedly. But like, again, I mean, she's 21, she's able to make her own decisions. So anyway, and so the reason I'm telling this story is because after 2 weeks of actively approaching girls that I'm attracted to out in public, and I've spent years fearing this exact criticism, and most of all of the approaches that I've done so far, that hasn't happened at all. And then a family member comes out of nowhere and throws that exact criticism right in my insecurities, right? And I managed, so it rattled me a little bit, to be honest. It did. I'm not going to lie about that. But I managed to sort of, what did I say? I used that agree and amplify thing where I was like, oh yeah, I'm basically a granddad or something like that, grandpa. Because I've got like white hair in that side, white hair in that side. my all of my chest hair is like pretty much white, I went grey and my hair is there, I went grey at quite a young age. But I don't care, like I'm totally fine about it. But I'm 33, so anyway. So yeah, the sister got real protective, and I just fired back like, yeah, I'm grandpa or whatever. And anyway, but I passed Vanessa my phone, and she put her number in my phone, okay, and then I was like, yeah, sweet, catch you later, and walked away. And then a couple of minutes later, I'm back standing over at the supermarket where I came from, where I was working. And they drove past, and the sister was in the passenger seat, and I just like gave her this big shit-eating grin, huge big smile, and just waved really happily at her. And the reason I want to tell you this story, okay, is because when you actually approach girls that you're attracted to, right, you will start to realize that it's not creepy. Right? When you actually start approaching women that you're attracted to, you will realize that it's not creepy. Right? Vanessa didn't have to give me a number. She wasn't under any sort of pressure at all. Like, it was just a light-hearted, flirty interaction. And so instead of, because the thing is, like, if you have fear of this exact scenario happening, it can cripple you. Like, the approach anxiety can be so crippling. But what actually happened was when they walked away after Vanessa put a number in my phone, I was fucking collapsing with laughter. It was so funny, right? And because I was just having fun. I don't care if she, texts me back or whatever like that. Like, I mean, when you start approaching girls and you get used to it, man, there's hot girls fucking everywhere. I'm getting girls' numbers, like multiple girls' numbers every day, now. And I don't give a shit. It's just fun to actually interact with and approach attractive girls, and just flirt with them because it's fun. And so because I was completely detached from any like outcome. I mean, yeah, okay, this girl that I was flirting with was hot, but like I don't know from fucking Adam, I have no idea who she is, and so the belief that you feel that you're creepy is like your mind telling you that she's gonna know that you just want to fuck her. But actually, like when you start talking with her, well, you might be physically attracted to her at a glance, but you have no idea who she is, right? And so you don't actually like, I don't want to fuck this girl because I don't even know who she fucking is. We haven't, like, I just met her in a fucking car park, right? And so I know that like, I didn't feel creepy. I was just approaching and hitting on and flirting with an attractive girl. That's all, And so when her sister all arced up and got protective, which was like my worst fear, like a few weeks ago for pretty much my whole life, it was funny. I didn't give a shit because fuck that bitch, who cares? It doesn't matter. I was in stitches because of how much fun I was having, right? Because it feels so like risky approaching girls that you're attracted to, but it's fun. You're like, when you actually start doing this, you'll realize how fun it is. It's yeah, it is sort of scary, but like when you start to get used to it, it's not scary. But even when you do your first one, like you'll be shaking, but like it's exciting, And so, that energy of excitement and fun, man. Like when when that sister appeared and started trying to tell me that I was creeping on her little sister because I was like too old. I was just like in fucking stitches, man. I collapsed on the side of my car. I was just like, I was absolutely laughing at the sky, right? There was no part of me at all that was like, worried that I'm fucking creepy or whatever, because it's just bullshit, right? It's just absolute bullshit. So anyway, I wanted to tell you that story. I wanted to leave that lesson with you, is that if you're really scared of being labeled as a creep, and you're worried about what happens if, like if your worst fear comes true, if you actually start approaching girls, right? If you actually start approaching girls, you will find that it's not scary, and you will find that it's actually really fun and really normal. And even if the worst type of scenario does happen, you won't care, right? Because you'll just be having so much fun with it that it'll just be water off a duck's back to you, right? So if that resonates with you, if that, I don't know, triggers you or rings any bells, if you've had similar experiences, or if you disagree with me, I'd be really interested to hear about that. But yeah, that's honestly, after that experience, it was so worth it, man. Fuck, I'm so glad that I actually got my fucking balls out of my handbag and actually stopped her and said something to her. And even when she was like, oh, I'm not feeling like my greatest today or whatever, I was like, I had the self-worth to actually realize, to be able to discern rejection from fear of vulnerability, like her rejecting me from actually her just fearing vulnerability. And all she needed was a little bit of a nudge and some reassurance that she doesn't have to be perfect in order for me to actually find her attractive. And as soon as she got that, she softened and relaxed, and we had a really fun, flirty little interaction, right? And then the complication that happened at the end was, honestly, it made my fucking day. It's so interesting because I have spent so many years thinking that, or fearing that I'm a creep, right? For being attracted to girls that I'm attracted to. Like, I don't want to say regardless of the age, because I'm not talking about like teenagers or whatever. But I've had so much fear that just my attraction for attractive women makes me creepy, right? But like, the experience that I had today proves to me that actually it's not creepy, it's actually attractive, and it's just so much fun. So just get out there and just start doing it. Like, I know it's scary. If you struggle with approach anxiety, then honestly, just like, I know this is a shameless plug, but like subscribe to this channel, because I'm learning so fucking much, right? And I'm really new to this as well. And so jump on the journey with me. It's going to be so much fun. I can tell you for a definitive fact, I am going to be doing this for a long fucking time, right? So let's journey together and see how much fun we can have with this.